This is Jesseville from jesseville.com, and this video is entitled Black People Don't Have a Money Problem, Black People Have a Budget Allocation Problem. Many of the naysayers and black pessimists upon the files of YouTube and other social media, such as Yvette Cornell, Antonio, There's No Hope More, and many others who parrot the idea that black people are broke. This video is for them. While I will admit that in comparison to other groups of people in the United States, African Americans are probably fourth to last in terms of median or average income. There's maybe about 3 other ethnic groups that earn less than us collectively. That I will concede. But when you also aggregate the total spending power of any cohesive group of people in the world, we would be considered definitely a top 20 economy. Now, I will say that the ability to consume and purchase is not as powerful as the ability to produce. However, it is that ability that you have to consume that allows you to create the investments to become producers. You see, being a producer doesn't just come out of thin air. You cannot become an investor or a producer without capital, without excess funding to invest. And in terms of Black America, we definitely have that. When you look at the Nielsen report, which I have linked in the description, African Americans have an annual spending power of $1.2 trillion. And there are categories of spending which we amount for a disproportionate amount of the actual spending in that category. In other words, although African Americans are 14% of the population in the United States, there are categories in which we spend or we account for more than 40% of the total spend. So let's look at this, right? Black Americans are 14% of the population, but in terms of dry vegetable and grains, we account for 50.18% of the total spend. In terms of baby food, we account for 42.76% of the total spend. Personal soap and bath needs, 41.64%. Fresheners and deodorizers, 38.29%. Shelf stable juices and drinks, 37.51%. When it comes to ethnic and beauty aids, 85.65% of the total spend is from black consumers. And I can go on and on. It goes into these different categories of which we disproportionately account for a much larger percentage of the total spend of that category in comparison to the percentage of population we account for in this country. You understand? So black Americans don't have a money problem. We have money, god damn it. But the way we choose to spend it is where the problem lies. You see, we could take a look at our budgets, our spending habits, and we could design a new budget where we pull back our resources and decide to invest that money into either some type of investment that is passive, that will bring in more money, whether it's a rental income, whether it's some type of securities. We can decide to go the more passive route and create a side hustle, create a business with that money. See, the main issue with the black community is budget allocation and how we prioritize the money that we do have. If you go to any hood in America, you will see black men with $200-$300 Jordan shoes. If you go to any hood in America, you will see black women with $200-$300 hair weaves or tracks. And I'm not shaming people for spending money how the hell they want to spend it, because you're the person that works and you choose where you want to spend your money. That's on you, and that's your business at the end of the day. But when it comes time to create businesses, when it comes time to buy and to donate to politicians so you can have a say-so in what happens in your community, I don't want to hear shit about how you don't have money to do it, because you do. I used to do door-to-door sales when I was a teenager, selling AT&T U-verse. So I've been in a bunch of people in the hood's house. I've sold cable television that runs from $200 to almost $500 a month to people in the hood. And I've seen inside these people's houses. I've seen people with flat screens in every room in the house. I've seen people pay hundreds of dollars for cable packages every month. And so the idea that black people are broke is ridiculous. Sure, in comparison to US Americans, yeah, we do make a lot less money. Compared to Indian Americans, yes, we do make a lot less money. Compared to Chinese Americans, yes, we do make a lot less money. But overall, and if you want to be honest, the people that are succeeding in America, the ethnic groups like the Chinese, the Jewish, the Nigerians, the reason their median income is so high is because these people come from middle class or higher backgrounds in their previous countries. And not only that, but these people also have a much smaller population than African Americans do. And so the average on our end gets brought down because we have so much more people. But if you take all of the ethnic groups that I named, probably with the exception of Jewish Americans, if you took Indian Americans, Nigerian Americans, and Chinese Americans, and you compiled or averaged up their median or average household income with people in their home countries, then we're talking about a different story. But back to black people. Statistically, black people, we watch the most television by far than any of the other ethnic group in the country. We are on social media for entertainment purposes more than any other ethnic group in the country. And so the way we spend and invest our time and our money is the issue, not the amount of money we had. See, when I was 17, I read this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it breaks down how the wealthy in the United States and the middle class and the poor all have different spending habits. See, the poor get a 9-to-5 job, and they get that money towards expenses, and they put that money towards doodads or luxury items like Jordans, like weaves, shit that you don't need, but it's nice and you want it, you like it. On the other hand, rich people, they get jobs and they use that money to invest in a business so they can employ themselves. And then they use that profit that they get to either scale their business, or they use it to invest in different type of investments, and they use the profits from there, and so they use that money to go into different type of assets, right? Either their business or a different type of investments, and they use the profits from those assets to pay for their expenses, their personal expenses, their luxury goods like their luxury cars and things of that nature, if they're not running certain things through the business, right? So that is where the difference lies, right? And that's one of the things. Obviously, there's many factors that come into play in terms of wealth building, financial literacy, etc., etc. But we can easily, as black people, look at where we're spending our money in these categories that I mentioned, and we can easily cut back on that money, cut back on those categories, and use the money that we're spending on Jordans and weaves and put that toward investing in ourselves and our personal development and investing in business. And understand, business is not an easy thing, right? Business takes time to not only learn the proper levels that are going to get you the most momentum in your business to succeed, and it's also going to take time to actually be successful in business, because even if you know the proper levers, it still can take time to you to become not only to break even in the business, but to even become profitable in the business. These things take time, you understand? And so yeah, I just wanted to touch on this subject. Stop saying that black people don't have money. We have plenty of money, but the way that we allocate that money that we do have is very poor. We're basically leaving ourselves in a rat race, going nowhere. That's the issue. Only business and investments in a capitalism, assets, business and investments in a capitalistic system is the main driver for success in this particular system. And I'll even say, even if you don't do those things, at the minimum, you should try to live, and this is the bare minimum, right? At the bare minimum, you should try to live below your means and to save excess capital for yourself to live on, right? And this is the bare minimum. Of course, when you go a step further, you use that excess capital to invest in passive investments, whether it's retirement funds like IRA, Roth IRA, 401k, things of that nature. That's better than actually just having savings because of the inflation rate and all those things, all of those factors. But at the bare minimum, these are the things that you should be looking at doing. You should never be in a position where you're spending every single dollar that goes out, which is what most black people do, unfortunately. And as black millennials in particular, I'm actually going to do another video on solutions for us, financial solutions for us that we can get into to improve our positions in life, because we are struggling worse than any generation before us because of the inflation and high cost of living, particularly how much more expensive rent and mortgages are in comparison to the Generation X and the baby boomer generation before us. There are solutions for this particular situation and for the dire financial situation that we happen to find ourselves in. And it's something that I know we don't like to do, and I know that most of us don't want to do, but if we do it, our finances can be a lot less restricted and restrained. We can have a lot more loose finances to be able to invest in things of that nature. But anyway, that's my video, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, this is Jesseville from jesseville.com. Please hit the like, comment below if you don't agree. If you disagree, comment below as well, and make sure to hit the subscribe button. Peace.